C2 Wrestling Podcast. The boys are back. It feels good to be in a little bit of a groove with doing these podcasts again. We are so close, and I mean so close, and The Rock means so close to doing more in-person podcasts. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. Whether it's in person, whether it's over Zoom, every podcast cannot get started talking about topics until we know how you're doing today, Snowden.
How am I doing today? I'm hungry, but it's all right. We're going to podcast first, then I'll make some dinner. And then I was thinking I might rewatch some wrestling. I might throw on Mania 40. We were there. It's always a good one. I need something good to watch while I eat dinner. So we'll see. I'm doing all right, though. How are you doing today?
I had the same exact thought about rewatching some wrestling because I'm about 10 or so minutes into Ariel Hawani's interview with the Hardy Boys,
Okay.
which dropped on Wednesday.
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck, I just want to watch some tag team wrestling. Like
That's
I
some
just
good
want to watch
old
some. Yeah.
tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling, it's funny you bring it up because that is one thing I want to get into tonight is a little bit of tag team wrestling. But I think there's some more prominent things to maybe touch on first. And we're going to get right into it. We're leading up to some big events. You got something to say? Because
Yeah,
me talking apparently is not that important.
it is not because there is something important that I want to talk about. It
What's
because
that?
I'm starting with a rant.
Okay. Okay. All right.
This
All right.
is a very niche, but not niche, but niche to this part of our channel.
Nishan.
Yeah, some very niche in Extreme Rules match against Chelsea Green. Uh, I, as you know, I've gotten a little bit back into collecting some action figures.
For sure.
I'm working on whenever I move, I'm gonna have a nice display.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast set up. I got, two titles that I wanted to display. I got a Cody signed weight belt from Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a picture with the ring mat used of Cody and Roman from Bad Blood.
Yep.
Plenty of shit. The Money in
Money
the
in the bank
Bank.
briefcase.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Plenty of shit. So I've been buying just odds and ends wrestling action figures. Some really no rhyme or reason. If I see something I like, I grab it. I'm not just buying to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Some I look at, I'm like, I should just, get rid of some of these. Like, I don't really care about others. But I have certain ones that I'm like collecting. Like, I'm trying to get all the CM Punk action figures
Mm-hmm.
since he's returned, the good ones. And I recently decided I want to get any figure that they put out of like Mania 40 attires
For
because I
sure.
think a cool display would be that is, we were there. It is without a doubt, I've said it plenty of times, the best weekend of my life. Just
Far and away.
truly
Yep.
like, if anyone listening gets the chance to go to one of the biggest wrestling shows ever with two of their best friends,
Mm-hmm.
well, technically four of your best friends,
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Absolutely.
So I'm starting to get some, and I've jotted down, all right, I need this, whatever. I gotta like do a deep dive, see what's actually come out, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that good at like keeping up with what comes out. I ordered some, and I also bought one today.
Okay.
And here's where the rant comes in, and I
All
know
right.
you'll agree.
All right.
Why is it so expensive?
Dude. Oh my God. I vividly think back to, I remember being a kid and I used to get figures all the time. Don't get me wrong. But at certain points, it wouldn't be like somebody bought it for you. Your parents would be like, you gotta, if you want one,
Hmm.
you better be saving that birthday money. So you would buy them every now and again. And I remember going to, I want to say Toys R Us, I think. But regardless, they had an Edge figure at the time. He was wearing the silver pants. The tattoo on his arm was just blacked out. I remember that figure vividly. But I remember, I don't know if this is even accurate, but for whatever reason, I've always remembered that figure being $8. And back then, that was like $8. Like, this is $8. I only have $20. I'm 9 years old. That's expensive. Back then, $20 would get you a 3-pack with a breakable ladder and all
Yep.
that shit. Nowadays, I look around my room and there's a reason there's no figures in my room. You know,
Let me
it's
tell you,
crazy expensive.
I ordered some that I was like, it's a good thing I got a nice check from work from my extravaganzas overseas
Hmm.
because I was texting the honorary oos and I was like, wow, I spent far too much money. And this was a day after I spent a ridiculous amount of money on two pairs of pants, which I am not proud of how much they were. The amount these action figures were not that far off. So
So yeah, let me hear it.
today I'm like, I'm in Target and I see this Roman Reigns action figure.
Okay.
And I'm like, shit.
Mania 40?
He's got the red glove. I had to double check. I'm like, he wore the red glove, right? For Mania
Yeah,
40,
yeah.
whatever. So I look it up. Yep, red glove. Comes with a couple different heads, comes with the title, the Ulafala.
Let me before you give me prices, I'm gonna guess, by the way. Continue.
Okay. I knew it was this price because I've bought
Hmm.
a few recently.
Yeah.
Like I bought the CM Punk. I just pre-ordered a bunch of stuff. Like I pre-ordered these two CM Punks that are coming out. I pre-ordered this Logan Paul because it's his Mania
Hmm.
40 action figure. And this Bailey because it's her Mania 40. And this Cody Brandy 2-pack because it's the Mania 40 entrance, whatever from you get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Guess how much just one of them was?
So the Roman figure was Roman with multiple heads, the
Yes.
Ulafala. They come with the title?
It came with the title.
All right, I'm imagining it was one of the Ultimate editions, like the white box. They're kind of like
It was an
squared
ultimate
and
edition.
angles
All
on the
all of the
corner,
ones that I've ordered
or
recently
Ultimates.
are all ultimates. So I've go ahead.
That bitch was 39.99.
That shit was $39. $39.
That's crazy. It's truly like I get it. It's a different world than it used to be 20 years ago. There should be caps on shit. That is crazy to be charging that much.
Outrageous. And I'm a sick fuck because now I'm like, all right, I want to get all these Mania 40s. So now I'm like, I don't care about the price. Like
Hmm.
this is, collectible to me. Cause in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have this cool display at some point.
Yeah.
And when we do these videos and these podcasts, it'll be a nice, cool background, whatever,
Hmm.
in a separate room. So it's not my bed in the background, whatever. But I'm looking at these and I'm like, I blinked. The the three that I ordered from Ringside Collectibles, and then the three that I ordered from Mattel Creations, and then this one, that's like they're $35 a pop on online, and then this one was in store with tax. It came to about 40. What is that? Seven figures for $35 to $40. I spent like $350 on a couple action figures. What the fuck?
It's crazy because, like, as a kid, Christmas, we've talked about this kind of stuff on podcasts before, but Christmas, I'd get a bunch of wrestling shit. It'd be primarily wrestling shit, honestly. And I'd get a bunch of figures and whatnot. And in hindsight, there might have been a Christmas where I could open up 20 figures, you
Mhm.
know? Cool. Might have been a clean $100 in figures. Nowadays, that's two, not even three. And all right, they have some cheaper editions. The ultimate editions, the big dog, sure. But those are the ones you want because they're the
Yeah.
good ones. Some of those cheaper ones, though, that they still got, I always think back to like an early Mattel Randy Orton where like the tattoos are just Sharpie pretty much. Like they look like shit. Nah, if you're going for them, you get the real ones. I do remember at the tail end of the Jakks Pacific era, they had like the deluxe classic edition
Yep.
guys. Those were like at the time like groundbreaking figures, and that's essentially what today's ultimate editions are. And I feel like those were around like 20-ish bucks or so a pop. They were expensive back then, still half the price to what they are today.
Yeah, I was actually when I was talking to the honorary use today, I mentioned that I was watching a video and this guy said that apparently the best seller of WWE action figures is actually the basics, like there's
Mm-hmm.
just the generic ones because they're cheaper and that's the ones that adults buy for kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So the ultimate ones where you got all of these extra pieces, whatever, that really is for the collectibles. And Mattel knows the collector. Sorry, Mattel knows. collectors are adults. They're going to spend adult money. So
Hmm.
they have it marketed perfectly. I get it. I just, far too much money. And the problem is I look at my list now because I just did like a brief, like,
Hmm.
all right, I know they made this one. I know they made this one. I know they made this one. I went through a couple and I was like, this is just, I'm not even doing the full Mania 40 card, obviously, because there's
Yeah,
a
too many.
trillion matches.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to hit the prominent matches or like the ones that I care about. And I'm like, we're talking about a fucking $1,000 display or some shit. Like
Yeah.
this is insane. But the only like saving Jordan Grace, the only saving grace is some of these do hold value or
Yeah.
hold somewhat value. Like
Get them
for instance,
signed.
well, I the problem is I'm taking them out because I'm going to display them.
Oh, you're taking them out. Out. I
I'm
didn't know you were
taking
taking them
them
all
out
out.
to do a
Ooh.
display. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I only have a couple that are still in the box, like CM Punk ones that are still in the box. But yeah, I
Yeah.
want to do like a get like
I
a
get it.
glass case and
Like when I
whatever.
was 10 and I would go to Toys R Us and I would look at the bionics in the fucking
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
case.
Yeah, exactly. So shit like that. Um, some of them do hold like solid value. Like for instance, the Cody Brandy that I ordered because they're more of
From a
like
Pharaoh?
no, that's a different
Okay.
Cody one. This one
Okay.
is just their entrance.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
actually like I will not be putting these on, but there's head sculpts of like them kissing, and I'm like, I don't need that.
We all know you're
Yeah,
putting them on. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm gonna sit there.
For
Uh,
any of my movie fans out
yeah,
there, it makes me think of Spaceballs when Darth Helmet is playing with action figures. That is, I gotta send you that scene after
yeah,
this.
because I have no
Hilarious.
idea what you're talking
I
about.
figured as much.
I know of the movie, but that's like I don't know if it's made to order or like it. It's an online exclusive, whatever. It's gonna sell out, so it's not like they're just gonna create more or
Hmm.
whatever. So
Yeah.
some of them will hold value. Thankfully, I'm very thankful that I'm in a point in life where I'm like, hopefully I never hit rock bottom.
Hmm.
I have enough where I can every now and again be a little stupid with my money and then have my weeks and months where I'm like, all right, no buying. Don't
Lock
be,
in.
yeah, don't be dumb for this time. I know when I can and can't spend the money on it. But yeah, it's one of those where I'm like, shit, I wish I just never started again. I wish I just never
It's a
bought one
dangerous
because
hole.
once you start, it's tough to stop.
Well, I mean, even the wrestling shirts, all the merch, I went a while without buying wrestling merch for a couple of reasons. One, it's expensive. $30+ t-shirts, $35 t-shirts on the website. It's expensive as shit. Two, there's a good, like, without even exaggerating, there's a good 10-year span of like maybe one or two wearable t-shirts, truly. Everything else was kind of garbage for a while. So I go a long time without buying them, but then you get some good drops. Like the company changed some things. Triple H is in charge. You're falling back into this groove. Mania 40, all this. And you buy one, you buy two, you buy three, and now I got 20 wrestling shirts or whatever, and they're all great. I wear them all the time. It's fucking $1,000 in
Yeah,
t-shirts,
yeah. Yeah, I do find like it is very similar. For instance, Mania 40 weekend, we were like, money's not real. Spend as much as you can.
Yep,
It's
didn't
fucking
care
Mania
at all.
40. Who
I would have
cares?
went broke for Mania 40
Yeah,
weekend. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like SummerSlam, I won't go that extreme, but I will have
yeah.
a little bit of that. Like, I'm here with all my best friends. I'm trying to win a C2 championship. Like,
Hmm.
fuck it, I'm gonna buy that extra shirt or
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm
It's
getting
the
two collectible cups. All
yeah,
right.
exactly. It's the time that you do. Then I think back, like when we were the FAP reaction days,
Hmm.
we were ordering shirts like crazy.
Yeah, but
Like
we were doing a lot of like pro wrestling tees, like
we
grab
were,
bags,
but
mystery
also
shirts. They were cheap.
WWE also did like, I mean, they do their sales all the time, but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were capitalizing on their sales a
yeah.
good amount. Like,
Hmm.
you and Ryan bought when they randomly did that, like, what, like five mystery shirts
Mystery,
or something like
they were
that?
all the
Yeah.
same shirts though, and they
Yeah, of
were the
course.
worst shirts, like
Yeah.
unwearable garbage.
But
Yeah,
like, I look back, like, I got rid of like all my shirts because they all don't fit. I got a little bit
yeah.
bigger.
Me
Uh,
too. But in hindsight, I wish I fucking even the garbage ones. I wish I had them all still. Wish I kept them.
yeah, I mean, I look back like I had a couple Cena shirts that I wish I
Hmm.
still had.
Hmm.
I had a New Day shirt I wish I still had. The one that I wish the most, could you guess it?
Ziggler, pink shirt.
Oh, well, that's up there. That's up there. That's
Yeah,
not the
that was
number one that I wish I still had the most.
number one that you wish you still had the most. And it's not the Ziggler shirt.
It's not the
Oh
Ziggler
man,
shirt. The Ziggler shirt is up there.
I have no idea which one.
I wish I still had my Kid and Cesaro shirt, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. I,
Yeah.
I think back, this is like me really dating myself. This is like ages ago. But I remember being like a little kid and I would get the shirts. Like if I went to a wrestling show or something, we'd get them in like a XL. So I would grow into it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had that fire purple Team Extreme Hardy Boys
Mm,
t-shirt. Loved that shirt. That's like one of those that if you saw it on like a shelf nowadays at like a thrift shop, how do you not cop it?
yeah.
There's so many, honestly, over the years, especially growing up. I had Fire Dudley Boys shirts that I loved and shit. So many. But right now I'm sitting with, I got a bunch of shirts, don't get me wrong, and I wear them all the time. Still, the designs, there's some great ones, but still, a lot of them don't hit as well as they used to. I'm really into the retro designs. They got a lot of these brands on the site that are doing like the retro look, and I think those are so much better.
Well, that's speaking of Bad Blood, I met Xavier Woods at Bad Blood
Mm-hmm.
and or Bad Blood weekend, I should say. And I was
Forgot
wearing
about that.
yeah, I was wearing the Rock shirt
Mm-hmm.
that I have. The one that's like
Like you
with
get it out
hair.
of the ice cream bars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And Xavier Woods was like, "Oh, that's an awesome shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need this shirt, but well, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I just got it." And he's like, "No, you didn't. Like, you're," and he like literally was like, "You're lying." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, I just recently bought this shirt. It's brand new." And
On the shop.
he has hair in the picture. It was awesome to meet and greet because
Mm-hmm.
we got like plenty of time to just talk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm telling you, like, this is a new shirt. Like they're doing retro shirts now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget the whatever representative that was like with him was like, yeah, like they do retro shirts now. And
Yeah.
like it is an in style thing. Now they try to do it too with current wrestlers and do like a retro look to it. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But those are way more fashionable than some of the dog shit they're putting out.
Oh yeah. I'm so sick of all like the crazy shit on the back. You know, you'll get a sick Theory shirt. Say, oh, it's Austin Theory, but then on the back, it's like A-Town Down, and it covers the entire back of the shirt or something. I don't know. Regardless, though, point is merch, figures, belts, all the above, ridiculously expensive. Belts going up an extra $100 or $600 now. God damn.
Yeah, expensive. And speaking of expensive,
Mm-hmm.
there was an Instagram story post about the price of bottles of water. And
Yeah, there was.
it has caused quite the stir once
Mm-mm.
again. It's never a dull day in wrestling social media, which is great because it gives us stuff to talk about. Britt Baker posts on her Instagram story, cryptic, not cryptic, whatever. A post about the price of a bottle of water when you go to a movie theater, when you're on an airplane, when you go to the grocery store. It's a different price, just different locations, so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. I have one massive gripe about the outcome of this story, and it has nothing to do with Britt Baker.
What's that?
It is such a trend now, and it is so repulsive when we get a story, not even a story. Britt Baker does that post. There's immediately a fucking news outlet that's like, oh, all of a sudden has this fucking well documented story on it all and is like, she's unhappy, blah, 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 yada, yada. And it's like, in 10 minutes, you got all these inside sources, whatever. And like, look, we have said it plenty of times. Like, nowadays, pretty much, if it don't come from Fightful, like, I probably am not going to believe it until like they confirm it.
Yeah.
And much later, they put out their story, which was like, Britt has this amount of time on her
Mm-hmm.
contract. It wasn't any fluff. It was like if she's trying to leave, she probably ain't going anywhere anytime soon unless they let her go. That's beside the point. It keeps happening where I'm not saying this specific outlet, but I'm just saying like bodyslam.net or whatever.
Yeah.
That post happens, then immediately a quote is surfacing oh yeah, she's been unhappy and she's in arguments with Tony Khan and she's trying to get herself fired, blah blah blah. It's like, where was this fucking story? Oh, you got this whole story, all these scoops in fucking 10 minutes. There was another thing too that happened before the Britt Baker news, and I can't even remember what it was. And I immediately was like, I think I sent it to you. I was like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way they immediately have this story, this scoop. They're basically just taking, oh, they said this. I'm going to infer this and take it to the next step. And then we have to, anyone with a brain is like, let's actually wait to see if this is even
It's
real or not.
it's just it's internet wrestling culture, it's exactly what it is. Again, if it doesn't come from Fightful, it's really not locked in. There's other like reputable enough wrestling outlets, but if it's not Fightful, it's really not the wrestling outlet to confirm anything. Britt Baker puts a post up comparing herself to her location. AEW, is she better off in different companies? That's the tweet, the post, whatever it was. Britt Baker, to my knowledge, has not been seen on AEW in a while. Britt Baker was very prominent for a bit. She's somebody that has always been top of that women's division. It's two things. It's one, it's real, and she is really trying to find a way out, wants out of her contract, is going to WWE, whatever it is. Or two, we're all getting ribbed, and it's just an inside joke between her and whoever else backstage, blah, blah, blah. Shit, I forget who it is, but there was another wrestler, a women's wrestler in AEW, who I just saw today tweeted, like holding a bottle of hotel water, and
Yeah.
it said $6.50 on it, Um, is that like a shot at Britt Baker, or are they all laughing at us? I don't know. It's a cryptic tweet. It's a cryptic story. It is what it is. For that little post to be made, and then all of a sudden, all these outlets have the inside scoop. What have you been hoarding this info for 6 months?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
why not let me know yesterday or the day
Yeah.
prior or the day prior to that? It makes no sense. But that's what a shitty wrestling journalist, news account reporter, whatever you want to call it, would do. When it comes to Britt Baker, listen, I'm not like Britt Baker, get her in WWE. Britt Baker, she's got to stay in AEW. I'm indifferent. I don't really care for Britt Baker, if I'm being honest. She's there. She's fine. She's good enough. She's not like the next up and coming thing, in my opinion. So, like, it's not that groundbreaking to me. I understand why it is to other people because she has been prominent in AEW. And let's say the news just came out right now that her contract, she got out of it. She got cut by AEW. She's one of the biggest free agents. Sure, I understand it. But I don't know. I don't know where she really fits in. It does seem like her time with AEW is kind of done or coming to a close. She might pop back up next week. Who knows? But I don't know how well she's really going to fit into the WWE mold. I'm probably wrong, and she becomes something special in WWE, in all honesty. At least is prominent enough to get a mid-card title run, main card title run. Who knows? But I'm not sitting here like checking my phone. Where's this Britt Baker news? I need her contract dropped. I do also have to say, though, it's AEW fashion to not let people out of their contracts when they want to go. That has become kind of typical with a couple of people that have wanted to be released. Whether that's right or wrong, not my business. It's a company, so I get it.
WWE does the same thing too.
Exactly. It's a wrestler that wants out. I understand that wrestler wants out. That's sad. They should let them go. But you also sign a contract. It's a business with competing businesses. There's a women's PLE coming up. You drop Britt Baker now. She has some crazy debut at Evolution 2. And then it's this whole thing. It's the same reason kind of why Penta and Phoenix were held on to for so long, blah, blah, blah. So it's not anyone's fault. I'm just not clamoring for it. Like, I don't know. This is not some like, it's the biggest thing to talk about maybe right now on this podcast, but I don't know. Something about Britt Baker just doesn't click for me like that.
Yeah, I'm also like, I've said it plenty of times that I hate, whether it's a contract coming up, whether it's someone may be unhappy, there's some report, a cryptic tweet, whatever. In either AEW or WWE, the immediate response is, oh, they're going to the other company. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially in 2025, where like
Well, she
TNA is on a
goes to be a
resurgence.
dentist. She
Yeah.
might just go be a
Yeah,
dentist.
yeah. She also has a job.
Yeah,
AEW is obviously huge. WWE is huge. TNA is on the resurgence. People still go to New Japan and wrestle solely in New Japan.
Triple
Some
A is
people,
getting a bit of a spike. Yeah.
AAA, obviously now under the WWE
Hmm.
umbrella. MLW is starting to get a bit of a rise. You have people like Baron Corbin,
Hmm.
who now
Bishop
is
Dyer.
Bishop Dyer, the Nomad, who's
Hmm.
like, I'm not sticking to a single company. I want to wrestle everywhere. Like,
Hmm.
who's to say Britt Baker, if she were to leave, doesn't have that mindset? I just hate the like immediate, oh, they're here. That means they're going there both
Yeah.
ways. Nick Nemeth is a perfect example.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone thought, oh, he's getting let go. He'll be in AEW tomorrow. Blah blah blah. He goes to TNA, and I actually saw this clip from the Hardys interview. They were talking about that was like kind of the real start of a strong resurgence in TNA when
Yeah.
Nick Nemeth went to TNA. And like we've seen a few other big names, including the Hardys, do so as well. I get it. It's social media. It's fun to kind of play that like where will this person land, whatever. It's just to me just kind of like a lazy take that like, oh,
Yeah.
they're leaving and they're going to the other company. There's some times where it's like the Mariah Mays of the world, where
Hmm.
it's like so clear it's been her lifelong dream to be in
Hmm.
WWE. And then there's the Ricochets of the world where it's like it is so obvious he's going to
Hmm.
AEW. Like, yes, there are those examples, but can everyone just fucking chill?
Yeah. Yeah. People do need to chill a little bit. I also do need to state this is maybe a little bit of like a counterpoint to that, but growing up as a wrestling fan, it's WWE. It's not until you hit a certain age where, at least for us, we were able to flip channels and we found TNA. The internet is now around. So there's so much more avenues to find other forms of wrestling. But even still, for these little kids that are into wrestling, there's a reason they're yeeting up and down. Jey Uso's their guy. They might not have seen TNA or GCW or MLW or New Japan yet. WWE is still wrestling. It's forever going to be the home of wrestling. These professional wrestlers are professional wrestlers. Most of them are fans of wrestling. Rarely you get the Kurt Angles of the world that had no clue what professional wrestling was before they get involved in it. The dream for these people, whether they say it publicly or say the opposite publicly, the dream deep down is always to be in WWE. I firmly believe that. Is
Besides
there?
Gunther, it was never his dream.
It was never his dream. Besides Gunther, love you,
His
Gunther.
dream was Japan.
Yes, but then things change. People changed out, regime changed, but the dream is WWE. Like that is everybody. If they had the option, like, listen, I can go test myself in the Indies. I can go do this. I can go do that. I can main event WrestleMania. Like we know what's going to get decided here. It's not as simple as just signing the contract and main eventing a WrestleMania. But I've seen a lot of people like defending Britt, like wanting her to stay in AEW, which fine. I mean, if you enjoy AEW and you like Britt Baker, yeah, you probably want her to stay. I totally get it. But it's like, it's that typical internet culture where it's like, it's tribalism. Like, what if she wants to go to WWE? You bring up Mariah May, Blake Monroe now. It was clearly her dream to go to WWE, and people all online are shitting on her for going to WWE. Oh, she's in NXT. Wow, wasted talent, this, that, whatever. She's 26. She's got time. I don't know how old Britt Baker is. I have no idea. But like, I
Not old.
imagine, yeah, she's not that old. I imagine the dream is WWE. But again, there's avenues that can get you there. She absolutely can go the Cody Rhodes style and test herself on the indie market and maybe even propel herself a whole nother level before she eventually gets that WWE contract. Again, if she got cut today by AEW, WWE probably contacts her. Yes, there's a lot of connections between those two companies, Britt Baker, the other wrestlers. Even if they didn't, they would eventually. Like she's an upcoming free agent that has a fandom. I don't envision it happening at Evolution. I don't think they're going to let her go quite that soon, but it's coming. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, and if she really is unhappy, I mean, hell, that post could have been about her fucking personal life or some shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's who knows? That's the thing about the funny part about like cryptic posts. Nia Jax's cryptic post. Like, all right, we know who you're talking about, but you're not saying it directly, whatever. Shit
Yeah.
like that. It gets people talking. Fair enough, completely understand. It's just my biggest gripe was like the reports, the fake journalism, because you get people online who are young and don't know any better. And
Hmm.
look, I don't know any of these wrestlers personally. So when I fucking
Yeah.
critique things, it's never on like a personal level. Not everyone thinks like that, and some people take these things personally. All right, maybe I take Goldberg a little bit personally, and it is a little personal between him and I, and Gunther's got to lay the smackdown. But I don't wish anything personally on Britt Baker. Some people do when you get these fucking reports that just out of the blue, who knows, true or not, get put out there. And hell, your favorite person on Twitter, if you remember, uh, Britt Baker
Couple
had
of them.
a very
Yeah.
public issue with him from fake
Yeah.
reports and things that were completely fabricated.
Comical.
Yeah, that truly like it only happens in 2025. Feels like it wasn't really
Hmm.
happening, before social media. So, all this being said, if she does get let go, obviously, you wish her the best in what she does next. But in the year 2025, if you are a fan of a wrestler and they leave the company that you mainly watch, odds are you'll still be able to watch them no matter where they go. Even if it's at the mom and pop show with 10 people in the crowd, odds are that's getting uploaded to YouTube from a handheld, camera or one that looks like it was recorded on a fucking toaster. Like, you're still going to see these people. So if you're a fan of this person, obviously you want whatever is in their best interest, but you don't have to like live and die on every decision that they make on where they're going or where they want to leave or whatnot, where they want to stay. Relax.
It's just, I understand again too. Like I think a lot back to Penta and Phoenix and how they were really kept along for a while and they weren't being put on TV. They got really dragged out. There was a point where, again, it is a business. There's a point where it's a little wrong to the people, the wrestlers. But again, you sign a contract. It is what it is. Just let it happen. It's just going to happen naturally. You can't force it. Britt Baker eventually is either going to pop back up on Dynamite or she's going to debut in WWE or she's going to be in New Japan and I'll see the link in the morning because I'm not up that late to watch it, like whatever it may be. Britt Baker in WWE, in theory, could she pop up at Evolution? Sure. That'd be the moment to have her debut as of right now. But again, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know what you even get her involved in off the bat. I don't know if NXT needs that name value at the moment more than the main roster would. We are clearly C2 Wrestling. We're more a WWE channel at this point in time. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of things we want to venture out to, so stay tuned. But at the moment, it's all about WWE. Let's put hypotheticals out there. She debuts Evolution. How do you debut Britt Baker?
Honestly, this isn't a slight to Brit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not like a personal slight. Right now, where do you even put her? Because there's so many people that you still need to like focus on and establish. Like this,
Mm,
she's not like this is gonna sound weird. It would almost be easier if she was a smaller name, and you
yeah.
can just kind of like
Put her
slide
into
her
like the
in, and
mix
it's
of
just
things. Yep.
whatever. Her name is too big that like you have to do pretty prominent things. Right now, like there's plenty of people currently on their roster where it's like, where the hell's this person been? Why haven't they been
Mm,
on? What are they doing with this person? Whatnot. I don't know if they would even have like a proper direction for her without derailing some people that need it. Like I think of again, not everyone that you sign immediately is going to be in that major storyline or it's going to click right away, whatever. I think of like Zarya, who when she got
mm,
brought in, I was like, sneakily, she might have like the biggest ceiling of them all. And she cooled for a while. Like she started hot and she cooled pretty quick because she was in Julia debuts, Stephanie Vaquera debuts, Jordan Grace is in the mix a lot more.
Roxanne gets called up.
Roxanne, is kind of back
Mm,
and forth. Like it's easy to get lost in the shuffle when there's a lot of like new faces, new places. I look at it right now. Mariah May just debuted. Jordan Grace, you'd assume, is going to win the NXT championship. They're just establishing something there. There's a plethora of NXT women's talent that's still like, You think of Lash, you think of Kalani Jordan, like
Hmm.
plenty of names that could still be called up soon, but can still do plenty in NXT. Then you look at the main roster, there's a ton that either aren't fully being used or they're being used but not in full blown stories or whatever. I just don't know where she would even fit in right now. That again, not personal.
Hmm.
It's it's much easier for when it's a guy free agent and it's like men's NXT division needs help. You
Yeah,
know,
men's NXT division needs
easy
help right
slot
now.
in.
NXT is maybe where to put her, but her name value maybe is bigger than that. It's a little tough. I can't really think of where to slide her in on the main roster. So it to me like it just isn't even time. That's my whole point asking the question is there's timing involved. She might get cut today, and they've been quick with the Ricky Saints, the Blake Monroe debuts. They've been quick. They've had plans ready to go for some of these people. But this is one that like you don't debut until you have something until it's ready. You know, what's the point in just calling her up or doing whatever you're going to do with her if there's no real plan? She can get cut today. I don't think she's needed for Evolution. I don't think she needs to debut at Evolution. I don't think just because it's Evolution 2, the first women's PLE, all women's PLE in ages, I don't think it needs some big debut or moment or whatever. I don't know. You're going to have a lot of matches on the card. We already got a battle royale announced. You know, they're probably pushing this to a 10 match card, which we're not big fans of. I feel like it's getting overcrowded. And the PLE is about the women, but it's becoming less about the wrestling because you're flooding the card with so much. Just to have her debut on top of everything doesn't really do much for me. I can see a world where Jordan Grace wins the NXT title and maybe Britt Baker's in NXT and has a feud with Jordan Grace and then comes up to the main roster a little bit more naturally. It doesn't have to have some crazy NXT stint. But again, she might just be on Dynamite next week. We
Yeah.
have no idea because it's a fucking cryptic story, tweet, whatever. It in reality, it means nothing.
Yeah, she truly she might. Maybe this is she posts that and Tony's like, all right, fuck, I gotta get her back in the mix, whatever. I think,
Yeah.
don't quote me, I think her last match truly might be the one against Mercedes for the title. Like
Hmm.
that might be her last match. I don't know. She may have had another shorter story after that. But hell, I mean, she could sign with WWE and Hikaleo style, not fucking debut for like a
For a
year.
year. Yeah.
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 And it's like, she's signed and doesn't show up because it's, I don't know, the right time, whatever. They
Hmm.
want to wait till it's something perfect. Who knows? But if you're a big fan of Britt Baker, I would understand that you're like, shit, I've wanted to watch Britt Baker wrestle and she hasn't been around,
Hmm.
whatever. So I would understand the frustration wanting her to leave or whatever. But patience. Hopefully things work out well for her. If it's in AEW, if it's in WWE, if it's in TNA, if it's in New Japan, if it's in whatever dentist office for a job that I couldn't become a fucking dentist now.
For me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just chill. We'll give you something to rant about.
Oh, yeah. We'll give you something to rant about. Yeah. You know, we're talking about debuts here. Britt Baker, it's a big thing, perhaps. Another big thing could be a heel turn, a face turn in the world of professional wrestling. And it happens all the time. Big Show, that guy, back and forth, face heel, face heel, face heel. It happens left and right in the world of wrestling. But it doesn't happen that often in an opportunity where it's really a like once in a generation type change. People hate it, but that Austin heel turn was big at the time. You know, there's the Cena heel turn, Hogan heel turn. Then there's the New Day's heel turn. It really is a generational kind of thing to do to have this uber forever babyface team turn heel and to turn heel in the way they did it. They turned on Big E, the biggest babyface of them all. Everybody loves Big E. They had us hook, line, and sinker with that New Day heel turn. It took a while to get there. They dragged it to kind of get to that New Day ceremony. But man, they hit the nail on the head with that heel turn. But boy, did they fuck up everything after it. Good God. Talk about having no plans. I've mentioned this myself. They plan things out for months in wrestling, and things are always subject to change. Chad Gable gets injured. Now you have a new El Grande Americano. Things are subject to change. They had on paper New Day turns heel, New Day wins tag titles, to be continued. Like that
Dot
must
dot
have been
dot.
the plan. Dot dot dot. What were they thinking? Even the winning of the tag titles was not executed well. It's baffling. New Day turning heel could have been monumental. That could have been a moment in history that you look back on. And again, the heel turn itself was good, but everything following it was so bad that it's not as memorable anymore.
This is one of the best examples of how we call things as we see it. We are big WWE fans.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly makes us a little bit more critical of them because we
Mm-hmm.
are such big fans. Doesn't matter the company. If we like something, we like something. If we don't, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and be of the crowd that's like, oh, Triple H can create a big moment but doesn't know what to do after that. I disagree because I think of the Cody title win,
Mm-hmm.
and his title reign was very good.
Mm-hmm.
There are examples of that. Then there's examples where the Cena heel turn, the New Day heel turn, some big moments, and Cena's obviously picked up steam, but the things that follow aren't that great. The interesting part with the New Day, like they're almost, I guess, trying to spice it up a bit by including the Waller and Theory potential split into the
Mm-hmm.
New Day story. You said it best though. It was very clear they made that plan. New Day's turning heel, New Day's winning the tag titles. We don't really know what's following. You can make that argument with the entire Raw tag division literally since the tag title split, like pretty much.
Yep.
It has been love the Judgment Day. They have been like the pull in case of emergency.
Yep.
And they got to the point with the New Day tag title run where they weren't doing anything with them. And it was, all right, we already have this Judgment Day story. It'll fit into their story. Let's put the titles back on them. Who knows? We'll obviously let things play out. Maybe this elevates the New Day story into something, whatever. Maybe we see a whole new side of the New Day. Maybe we see even less of them. And that is a bit of a worry. It is upsetting, though, because we talked about it going into that Mania match. I was not fully sold on them winning the titles being the right decision right there. Like,
Yeah.
I obviously was like, end goal, put the titles on them. But
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't completely bought in on, all right, Mania 41, they have to win the titles. They have to do it here, whatnot. It just feels like, man, you've got things are a slingshot. I'm hoping they're just back here, their farthest back point of their story, and they're going to fly back forward and fix things. They got a lot of fixing to do with this story because this was butchered bad.
Yeah, it was butchered bad. You know, it's a slingshot, like you said, Damian Priest with the get a little arrow action, Um, it was bad, and there's a matter of weeks between the heel turn and them winning the tag titles. And that, you compare the TLC ladder match we had on SmackDown post Mania compared to the New Day versus the Viking Raiders, and not to discredit the Viking Raiders because they're a great talent, but like they're just not clicking as much as some other teams, other superstars have. Like they're great, they're fun to watch. Ivar's singles run when Eric was hurt was a little bit more entertaining than really their tag run was. New Day, I don't know where it got lost in the shuffle post the heel turn, but like they were not built up as some mega face team, the Viking Raiders. I mean, they were not built up as this mega face team to lose to the mega heel team. It just didn't add up. People complain about all the sponsorships and stuff. The match was really only on Mania for fucking Clash of Clans. It really was, though. I'm not one to complain about the ads and all that because it is what it is. It's a business, it's marketing. But that match only made that card because you can market Clash of Clans over the Viking Raiders. And I love Clash of Clans, so don't get mad at me for that. But it's just, you have so much talent too. And I know Tyler Bate was hurt. I did just see a report today. It wasn't from Fightful. I forget who it was from. So we'll take it with a grain of salt for now. But I did just see a report that they're both hurt. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Maybe they are, and that's why they haven't been around. The Viking Raiders, they just had a run. They weren't quite clicking like that. JD McDonough comes back. Judgment Day gets the tag titles. Sure. But there's still so many other tag teams. There's so many other ways to freshen it up. There's so many ways they could have better involved the New Day going into WrestleMania. The biggest moment of the year, the biggest PLE of the year. Like, it could have been done 1,000 different ways, and every which way would have been better. And it's also not to discredit Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, because they have been great. The two of them have been making the best out of what they can. I cannot help myself but crack up when Woods is dressed the way he's dressed backstage with the big fur coat like a pimp. You know, Kofi shaved his mustache and has got this heel look. They've been fantastic, but they're clearly not being given a lot right now to work with. So they're making the best of what they can. You kind of said it before. I don't know if they're going to be on TV too much after this. What do you do with them? I think they'll be involved in the Theory Waller split. I think we'll get like a Wallers in the New Day type thing for a little while. But I just don't know. If there's no upcoming draft and you can't float them to SmackDown and like mix up the tag divisions a little bit, it's kind of a lost cause with the New Day right now.
I think back to Mania, and we were saying the SmackDown tag titles deserve to be on
Mm-hmm.
Mania. But of course, when it comes time wise, like the match itself, you'd rather it doesn't because it's going to get more time being on SmackDown
Yeah.
compared to being on a 7 to 8 match pay per view that's 3.5 hours, whatever. We kind of thought the same thing with the New Day match. Like we knew why they put it on, and obviously the sponsorship added to even more of it. But it does have me thinking like, would it have started a little bit better if that was the Raw after Mania and they got 15 to 20 minutes and they put on the match? Because wrestling is not an issue with them. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a matter of they can't put on good matches or anything like that. I have said though, and we've talked about it plenty, that division has just needed the spicing up for a while. SmackDown's tag division is obviously being red hot, and
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy that it's even the same company having these things.
Yeah.
My biggest fear right now, awesome, they put the titles on the Judgment Day. I love the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Still good story, will still work out.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest fear, say we don't get a shakeup for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and their plan is to put the titles on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Cool. I love that. Sounds great. Make Braun Breaker a 2-time Intercontinental Champion and a Tag Team Champion. Give Bronson Reed his first ever uh main roster title. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That very easily becomes you forget they're the tag champs because they are part of a trillion stories that the tag division may genuinely suffer even worse from them getting the tag titles. That's not like a don't do it. I like that's just a genuine fear of mine
Yeah.
because it may only get mixed in facing Penta and Sammy at the same time or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I would want it because they can do this. It's not that complicated. I would want it. They take the titles. They're dealing with all of these stories of Rollins' enemies coming after them and whatever. And at the same time, on top of all of it, the entire Raw Tag Team division is coming after them. And they're on twice a show where they're defending the
Mm-hmm.
titles or facing a Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. And then later in the night, they're trying to protect Rollins, whatever. We see these intertwined stories. They do them pretty well. It's very easy to intertwine them. I'm just afraid that these specific titles that keep getting lost in the shuffle, they'll just get lost in the shuffle again.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough. I hope they go the route and they do put him on Braun, as CM Punk will call them. I think there's a world where, they're going to be booked evolutionish, where they're going to all be champs. I think everybody will kind of get their spotlight. I don't think the titles will get as lost in the shuffle on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as they have been over the last year or so, because at least it's like a new set of guys. It's a new tag team. We have a new tag team. We have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. It's something that Monday Night Raw especially needs is another tag team But now we also kind of need like a face counterpart for that tag team. And I'm really hoping it isn't like Sammy and Penta that win the titles off of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I cannot say both their names together because it's the same fucking name.
It's impossible.
God, it's
Braun Braun.
impossible.
You
Just
literally
be,
have to say
just
Braun Braun.
be Rex Steiner, whatever your real fucking name is. I can't believe you didn't go with the Steiner name. But regardless, it's it's tough. The tag division is tough. Is it time to pair up Phoenix and Penta already? Is that the answer? That Penta needs a partner and he goes and gets his brother, and that's who eventually is the feud with Bronson and Braun? It makes sense to me.
I would have said yes if this were a week and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems like Phoenix and Andrade are a team.
I know, I know. That's why I bring it up to touch on that because now we're kind of. And listen, I love getting Andrade on TV. People were complaining that Phoenix wasn't on TV for like a week or two. Cry me a fucking river, guys. I love getting Andrade on TV though. He is a guy that does deserve more TV time, but it's kind of a thrown together tag team. I'm hoping it doesn't stick like that. If you're and it, I think I might have said this too in one of my reviews because Phoenix is eventually going to pair up with Penta. They're eventually, whether it's a year or 2 years from now, they're going to do the whole Lucha Brothers stint. They're going to get tag titles, all that. So now Phoenix is going to be in tag divisions forever. You know, it's going to be a while where he's just kind of stuck in the tag division. But I don't know. It's just tough. The Raw tag titles are in a weird spot. Again, we are hopefully going upward now that they're on the Judgment Day. Finn and JD, parts of the Judgment Day, might even turn face sometime soon. So I don't know. There's more avenues here. There's no teams to call up from NXT, though. There's no real, like, two guys that they should put together. We're losing Waller in theory. New Day is kind of on the out. Maybe Bate and Dunn come back at some point, but, like, right now, it's Judgment Day. It's Bronson and Braun. And who else?
It it's actually kind of funny with Bronson Reed, or sorry, not Bronson Reed, Andrade and Ray Phoenix teaming. Like I don't hate the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is a big piece of me that's like, well, it's tough to look at Phoenix with a different partner that's not
Yeah.
Penta. But it does kind of make me chuckle that it's like, this is a fun duo. SmackDown didn't need another tag team. Granted,
No.
like it helps having I love Andrade being on TV. It's another fresh face, whatever. But at the same time, it's like fucking Fraxium should just went to Raw. Like
Yeah.
Fraxium should like they would have been perfect babyface counterparts for this absolute demolishing duo of Braun and their kryptonite is these fast high flyers that have beaten Braun Breaker for tag titles before and they
Yeah.
can easily get some, you know, they can get heat off of them because they're much smaller and they can absolutely decimate them and hit a trillion spears and they can work with both of them having their ribs taped and whatnot, whatever, and build this whole story. That it's like, wow, you solve a lot by just having Fraxium be on Raw instead of SmackDown, the
Mm-hmm.
brand that didn't need them to begin with and got them. Cool, we got some fun matchups for sure, but you just think about it. I don't think there is a specific division on the main roster that needs the shakeup more than the tag team division.
Yeah, you know, I did forget about the Creed Bros, which is a great team to have on Monday Night
Heels.
Raw, but they're also heels. Exactly. They're also heels. And like America ain't turning face anytime soon. So it's just tough. You find yourself in a tough spot. The two divisions in all of WWE, the men's Raw tag division and then just the men's division on NXT. Those are the two divisions that need the most help right now, realistically. Obviously, main roster is a little bit more prominent. I would be putting my focus there. If I'm in the writing room, if I'm any sort of ways behind the scenes at WWE, you have to acknowledge this is not going well. How do we fix this? And I don't want like a formed random tag team. Listen, if they were to have Omos come back and he had a new tag partner, okay, sure. Let's debate who it could be. Maybe it might be somebody a little bit more random than it should be, but cool. Maybe we get another tag guy here, another tag team, I should say. But we have teams is the problem. Like we have these teams, just need to split them up a little bit. We need a shakeup, a draft. The men's Raw tag division, more than I think the divisions have maybe ever needed it, need a shakeup or a draft.
Honestly, I think we should do a completely separate video to go up on
Mm-hmm.
its own of fixing the WWE tag team division.
Yeah.
And we go through, we have all of these made teams, and maybe we even make a few more teams. But I think we know, we'll send the link in the group chat to Triple
Mhm.
H. So when we get that shakeup, here's how we spice things up in the tag team division. Let's put this team on this brand, this team on this brand, split this team, form this team, whatever. I think that genuinely, first of all, like I love tag team wrestling, so that's like I am giddy at the thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I genuinely think like it is a perfect example of okay, you think it's a problem. How do you solve it? Well, we'll give you a solution.
We'll give you a solution. We've done it a time or two, even on our former channel, Fab Reactions. We've built some drafts, some shakeups, all that stuff. We could absolutely do a mock video. That would be a good one. How do you fix the Raw Tag Division? There's a lot of ways to fix it. There's a lot of answers. I'm surprised they haven't yet. Again, I guess Judgment Day is maybe the start. Clearly, they must have realized the New Day tag run wasn't working because New Day could have just still been tag team champions. It doesn't really matter. Putting them on the Judgment Day makes me think they have a plan. So I'll give it a month or two. I want to see this plan and where it goes. I think Judgment Day might be transitional. I think the idea is that Dirty Dom inadvertently or purposely screws them at some point. Who really knows? Is it going to be again to Braun and Bronson? I mean, who else really? It's the only team that makes sense.
Yeah, and it would probably happen sooner rather than later.
I
Does
would
it
think of
happen?
SmackDown. I don't mean to cut you off, but SmackDown too. You now got Alatonga,
Yeah,
Jason
yeah, yeah,
Mateo,
yeah,
whatever duo of all those guys.
yeah.
Tonga Low is back. Like, good God, give us one more tag team on Raw. Like,
And the funniest part about it too is
the
you
brand
just
split's not even a thing, so it doesn't
well
matter.
that, but well, it is a thing for the tag teams. Clearly, it's not a
Mm-hmm,
thing for
mm-hmm.
everyone except the
Yeah,
tag team division.
yeah, yeah.
But the funniest part about it too is SmackDown. You just chopped an hour of their television. The last thing they need is
Yeah,
more people.
yeah, I know.
Raw's the longer show and has less in this division. It's like help it out there. Now, again, we'll see how things play out. I do think I don't want to say now more than ever, but a shakeup is definitely
Yeah.
needed sooner rather than later. And I don't want to say it all ties to this, but I do think a big focal point, and this is probably like the last main thing we'll get into. It's a little bit of out of left field. I do think the Cena final run has been like the biggest cause of the like mucking of the brand split because it wasn't as bad beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about it when he first came back. We were mentioning when you looked at his dates, we were like, well, he's got people that are on Raw and people that he's on that are on SmackDown that he has to face for
Yeah.
his final run. And how do you do it? We said, oh, maybe they have the brand split during his time, and when he's while he's on SmackDown, he faces Orton, he faces Cody, he faces so and so, and then he goes to Raw and he faces Punk, he faces Rollins, Roman Styles, whatever. I think this has really been like the nucleus of we kind of have to blur the lines as Tommy just goes insane right now.
Insane.
We
Yeah.
kind of have to blur the lines with this brand split because we need Cena. He's facing this guy on Raw. Now he's facing this guy on SmackDown. And our truth is floating back and forth because he's chasing Cena, whatever. Like, not to blame Cena, but I think his final run is like one of the key factors to
Mm-hmm.
this being a thing.
Well, when you have, and to be honest, we can get a brand split post SummerSlam, right? And then CM Punk can win the championship. But CM Punk is a guy they're probably going to have float a little bit too. He's not really going to be a one brand guy. That's kind of the trouble you run into when your main championship is on a guy that is more so a free agent, not really locked into one show. Cena can show up anywhere, and it kind of makes sense. It ruins some things. I mean, even the King of the Ring qualifiers, we had every qualifying match, every fatal four way was broken up by a guy off the different brand. You got Bronson and Braun showing up on SmackDown. You got LA Knight showing up on Raw. And now LA Knight's on Raw, I guess. I really don't know. It's so simple to like implement trades and stuff and just like say you did this on TV. And they've done it before in little instances and whatnot, but I don't know. I guess you can't do it every time because then when you have a trade every month, what's the point of even having a brand split at that point? We are firm believers in the brand split, firm believers in split tag titles to touch on that too. Just because the division isn't great doesn't mean they should merge them again. Keep them split forever, realistically, if it were up to me. But I like the idea of a mock video, even a mock draft, a mock how do you redo the tag division on Monday Night Raw. We got a lot of plans coming.
Yeah, I also did think of one more topic that I do want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but to close our conversation up, it's also hilarious that they do this whole transfer window, and then it's as if the transfer window never ended. You told
Yeah,
me
it
it
never
ended. It
ended.
did
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
These people
yeah.
still just show up on both shows. It's like, why even put a title on it? Like, no need. But lastly, there was a report. Again, not sure the exact outlet, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. But it's very relevant to us.
Mm-hmm.
There was a report that Roman Reigns will be back before SummerSlam and he will be competing at SummerSlam, which I obviously love because we'll be there. But on top of it, I wouldn't want the same exact thing that happened last year to happen the very next year. So, my question to you, Snowden,
Mm-hmm.
let's say he does return before SummerSlam. What's the match?
It's gotta either be Roman versus Rollins, Roman versus Punk, or Roman versus Punk and Rollins. Like it's what else would it be? That's where he left off. That's what he would come back to. Could Roman come and feud with John Cena? Yeah, sure. It doesn't really make sense though, and it would be such a weird thing for Roman just to drop the story. Roman's story is Paul Heyman. They have not touched on that. Heyman turned on Roman. We have gotten nothing of that since. There's still a story to be told there. Some sort of triple threat. Again, I can see Rollins versus Roman. Is SummerSlam where Rollins gets that win over Roman? I don't know. I still think we're slated for Rollins versus Punk at SummerSlam, which sign me up. I'll take that any day of the week. But I do think that Rollins victory over Roman is coming pretty soon. Roman also apparently signs on for a movie, Street Fighter. So I don't think he's sticking around for a while post SummerSlam. I think we're going to get another little Roman hiatus. So it leads me to believe Roman might just take a quick L at SummerSlam to a Rollins or a Punk or whoever. And then he's off TV again for a little bit. I don't know the whole movie deal when it films all that, but he's part time as it is. Signs on for a movie. I don't think he'll be around too much. I really hope we start to get him involved, though, as soon as, honestly, this SmackDown or this Raw. I want him in the build for 4 weeks, 5 weeks going into SummerSlam. I don't want him popping up a week or 2 weeks prior, and now there's some Roman match. They could do it, but it's lazy.
There's a few things that I thought about. I'm not crazy on a six-man tag. It's not impossible though. Like I could see Sammy getting pulled into the cross story a little bit more. I could see Penta shifting to something else, possibly El Grande Americano. And I could see LA Knight, Punk, and Roman teaming against Rollins's trio. And it just to me it's so 2K that I'm
It's like
like,
Monday Night Raw type match. I don't need
yeah,
that at a
it just,
SummerSlam.
but at the same time, you also have a two-night SummerSlam, so you can't really rule anything out that, hell, they could have two matches. Who knows? A piece of me really just wants a rematch of Mania, the triple
Yeah.
threat. Like, I still think we need the Roman Punk one-on-one, and we still need the Roman Rollins one-on-one. Roman is still trying to get that win over Rollins, a guy he's never beat. You also factor in it's not impossible that Gunther is in the mix with this
Mm-hmm.
recent kerfuffle with Punk and the teases of Rollins. Who's to say we don't get main event of night one is a fatal four way Gunther versus Punk versus Rollins versus Reigns for the world title? Like
The
that's
biggest fatal four way of all time.
that's not that crazy. Like
No, it's not.
that's not that far fetched. That's the beauty though of doing these intertwined stories of people feuding with all these different people.
Hmm.
And it's what we liked so much about this year's Mania, although it didn't play out the way we wanted it
Hmm.
to. But you're like, man, they have so many directions.
Yeah.
Let's hope they choose the right one. Roman's the interesting one because he ain't coming back to do something shitty. You know, he's
Yeah.
gonna do
Yeah.
something big and prominent, whether it's wrestling one night, whether it's wrestling two nights. It's probably gonna be the main event. What is it? I truly could see like five different matches for Roman right now.
Yeah, I can see a couple for sure. I'm so locked in on it being Rollins and Heyman. It makes no sense for Roman to come back and not have something with Heyman there. Heyman's directly tied to Rollins. It just has to be that. You can add guys to the mix like Gunther. That does make sense. But again, there's no world where I see Roman coming back to feud with John Cena right now or Cody or whoever. I think it's got to be within those couple names we just mentioned. We do also have Survivor Series coming up, though. And Roman has a movie, like I just said. Hell, there's even rumors that Cody Rhodes is going to be in the same movie. So we'll see. But if they run a War Games, I mean, Cody, Roman, Punk, Jay, Sammy, maybe Penta instead of Cody against Bronson, Braun,
You missed LA
Seth.
Knight too.
LA Knight's another name. Bronson, Braun, Seth. I don't know. Gunther. I don't know. Some heels. There's a lot of potential matchups coming just with Roman in the mix.
The final question before we head out.
Mm-hmm.
My answer would be yes. I could see the route they would do it. I don't think it would happen. I also don't think it'll happen so soon. Roman does need that match against Rollins, but he also low key needs that match against Braun Breaker.
Yeah, he absolutely needs that match against Braun Breaker. I think that is a little bit more down the line, the match against Braun Breaker, because he's an incredible talent, but he is kind of a henchman to the Seth Rollins right now. I don't think that singles match, really happens until perhaps the eventual split of Rollins, Braun, and Bronson, whenever that goes down. Maybe I'm wrong and they could run it, but I think it's going to be a little while for that one. If they were to say, hey, that's the match at SummerSlam, now, like, all right, I mean, that's a great match. I can't be mad at that, but what do you do with Bronson then? Or Braun Breaker, rather? Is he like, he's getting a singles match with Roman? That's the guy then, not Rollins. It doesn't really make sense in that world to me.
Well, you can do it as like Roman is trying to get to Rollins, and
Yeah.
this is, you got to get through him first, whatever. He did spear Roman the Raw
I
after
can,
Mania with the
I can
creation of the
see
zero.
it just came to mind. I have to mention it. I can see your 6-man tag like Roman, Penta, whoever, Roman, Punk, whoever, against Seth and crew clash in Paris. Adds up to me. Paris is a big event. I'm sure they're going to want to get guys on there like Punk, Roman, Cody, Cena, whoever they can get. Maybe we do get Roman against Seth or end Punk at SummerSlam. And so again, we've talked about this. Punk and Roman are still going to have some tension. They're not going to be buddies, but they're not going to be enemies like Roman and Seth are. So maybe that's the world we see. CM Punk and Roman team up again at some point down the line.
Plenty of juicy stuff we just talked about. Plenty of juicy stuff on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
We've got PLEs, we've got Raws, we've got SmackDown, we've got the road to not just SummerSlam, but the 1 year anniversary of C2 Wrestling. It's going to be so much fun. We have a lot of good stuff coming. Some microphones will be in use, some in
Mm-hmm.
person action, in person podcasts. Snowden, you got to be the biggest coward if you're not subscribed by now.
I mean, if we're talking cowards, like on a rank from 1 to 10, and 10 means you're the biggest coward of all time, there's a lot of 10s out there. There's 1,000 that aren't, but it's the road to 2,000, baby. Don't be a coward. Subscribe.
Catch you guys next time.